It is currently July 30th. The Season 3 premiere comes out in roughly 7.5 hours. Cutting it real close with this one. Hey guys. So, yeah, the week got busier than expected, so this video is coming out and getting filmed and edited all today. So, thank you all so much for your patience. I really do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and talk about my predictions for UnOrdinary Season 3. So, here we go. I kind of want to start off right off the bat with just kind of saying that these are just some predictions that I have written down. I do have a lot more predictions that I think can happen as well, but we'll kind of get into those later. These are kind of the main things that I think are likely going to be happening with Season 3. So right off the bat, one thing I do want to talk on is that I know I said in the season key art video that I did that I think it's very likely that the season, at least part 1, or most of the season, will focus kind of on Remy and Isen first. I think they will be kind of I think we will focus on a lot more of their storyline for the first part of Season 3. But that being said, Season 3, the Season 2 recap was done by Arlo. So I do think it might actually be possible Season 3 might kick off from Arlo's perspective of everything, kind of like what's going on with him right now. But I do also think that Season 3 will maybe kick off with like a time skip, maybe like what I said kind of before was maybe what would be really cool to see is kind of like a flash forward, like well into Season 3 of like how we're breaking Blake or Arlo like out of either prison or like control from the Bureau, like kind of like a flash forward to see kind of like what the gang is doing. But then we cut back to like, hey, so everyone is here now, this major event is happening, but how did we get here? Kind of like a moment of like for example, I think it'd be really cool if like it starts out with like everyone fighting against Arlo because he's being controlled by Farah and everything. He's obviously siding with the Bureau right now, and like it's like a very critical key moment of the story. And then it's just kind of like Remy, Sera, or maybe even John is kind of like, damn it, how did things end up like this? We then flash back to like where Season 3 is going to actually start off, like probably like you know, John like at cameras or everything, kind of like talking to Sera, like, so have you talked to them, like did they say anything about what the plan is for getting Arlo back or something like that? Kind of, I think something like that would be cool. Like boom, major event that the audience is going to see, flashback to like, okay, here's where we left off, and here's how we're gonna get to where Season 3 kicked off. I think something like that would be really, really cool to see. Now, that being said, I don't think that Season 3 is going to have like a big time skip. Like I think a few of us were like thinking like, hey, like wouldn't it be really cool if like Season 3 takes place like a year or two like in the future, like, you know, get like a time skip going. I don't think that's going to be happening. As much as I personally would like to see kind of like everyone aged up a bit, I don't think that's going to be happening because Blake is still being interrogated in the art. I think like beyond like what they could get out of him would take like a month or two tops. Like that, like I don't think like the authorities would keep Blake that long. Like they would get what they need and dispose of him quick based on the things that we've seen. So I think that the time skip, if there is going to be one for Season 3, will kind of be like Season 1 to Season 2, like a week or a few weeks, a month tops, kind of for everything happening. So I don't think we're going to get a big time skip right at the start of Season 3. Maybe once everyone is back together, maybe Season 2, Part 2, or Part 3, maybe we go all the way to Part 4. I think that's when we'll get, if we do even get like a big time skip, basically. So, and again, going back to kind of the whole poster itself, I do think that the remaining ones, a big fight with the four of them. Clearly, John and Remy are going to be fighting side by side at some point, or maybe they're actually kind of training together. Like maybe Remy is like, John, like tell me what you would do with lightning, and then I'll tell you what I would do with lightning. Like kind of like training together would be really cool. I've seen a lot of cool art of Kuyo kind of training training John, which I think would be so sick. We definitely need to get Blade Master John. Lightning Blade Master John? Lightning Blade Hunter John? That would be so sick. Oh my god. Fan artists, get in on that. But I don't think it's like, as much as I would like that, I don't think John's training would be up to Kuyo as much as it would Cameron. Cameron would be cool. Though I would very much like for John and Kuyo to meet properly. Because if I can recall, actually, I think that was the only time that Kuyo met John, when he was unconscious. Anyway, so yeah, that would just be cool to see. Now, first person we're going to talk about, Arlo. I'm going to say this right off the bat. Ember Agent Ash is coming. Uru, if you use that name and you got to send me my check. Send me my check, Uru. But I don't think that Arlo is going to be at Wellston anymore. I know a lot of people are kind of like expecting like King, or the defense king, to come back, especially now that he's brainwashed. I definitely think that's likely. Like I do think it's highly likely that Arlo will like go to Wellston and everything, just kind of like the formality of it all. But personally, I don't. I just said I think it's highly likely, but I'm saying this now that I don't think it'll happen. I think that, especially now that with like Farah knows, I think it is very likely that he's going to be strictly a bureau employee only, like probably under Valerie or probably under Farah. I don't think Arlo's going to Wellston anymore. I've said in the past, I don't think we're going to be at Wellston much in season 3. Kind of, I think obviously we'll get like a few like, you know, kind of updates on characters like Evie, maybe even Cecile, who God knows that Zeke's gonna run amok at Wellston now. But with my belief that Arlo is not going to go back to Wellston, he's going to be a full-time bureau employee now. I definitely think like we're going to focus on Wellston a lot less. Now, characters who I think will probably bring Arlo back. Now, I touched on this in last week's stream when we were reading the recap. Remy is number one. Remy is the number one character who should be bringing Arlo back and like reminding him of everything that they've all been through. Number 2 is kind of like a toss-up, I think, between John and Sera. Like I kind of meant, well, no. Sera before John, but I do think the two of them together still. So Remy, Sera, John, and then Blake, and lastly, Isen. Of the main cast, that's the order in which I think the main cast should be the ones to bring Arlo back. And I think it's very likely that the main cast will be the ones to bring Arlo back, because Sera herself said, we're going to figure out how to save them. However, if it's not the main cast, and I do personally think that this person will be the one to bring Arlo back, or at least try to, or get very close. If it's not the main cast, there are 7 characters, technically we're going to count them as 6, that I think could also bring Arlo back in this instance. And I think the person who should absolutely be the number one pick to bring Arlo back to the side of everyone is Cassandra. I think that Cassandra will be the person to bring Arlo back, or at least try to like get him back and like remind him of everything that's happened to him, and what they are trying to figure out, that the Bureau is in charge of Ember. Now, like I've said in the past, Arlo's memories that we saw get altered were all of Wellston. I didn't see anything happening with Cassandra's memories of him, at least. Granted, we don't know the extent of the hypnosis that Farah put him under, so maybe she did kind of mess with the Cassandra memories as well. Second person after Cassandra is Kuyo. Now, Uru's kind of given us a bit of Arlo and Kuyo's history, so I definitely think that's someone who was also close to Rey, someone who was maybe kind of like a mentor, another type of mentor figure to Arlo, being Kuyo, obviously. Number 3, Holden. Once again, Arlo's best friend, like the one person we've seen Arlo hang out with and be buddy with. Holden. Like, Holden should absolutely be the person to, or could absolutely be a person to also remind Arlo, like, hey man, like, you're acting different, like, this isn't like you, man, like, you are not being yourself right now. Now, number 4 out of the main cast. This one is kind of a tricky pick. We've seen this character is not necessarily a good person, but Chad brought up a good point with kind of like when we were talking last week. Cecile's not the best person in the world. She doesn't really get along with Arlo, but she kind of has some sense of journalistic integrity. So Cecile could also kind of be like, Arlo, like, you're not being yourself. Like, do you not remember, like, the things Rey taught you? Even if Cecile did not agree with Rey, like, you know, she did not like Arlo. She definitely still had, like, a sense of respect for Arlo, though. Now, 5th person, again, I am gonna say this right now. It is possible that this person absolutely should not be the person to bring Arlo back, though. Like, it would be very, very forced if this person did. Elaine. Yeah, like, Elaine tries to hang out with Arlo, but she might, maybe now that his, like, memory has been, like, altered with, maybe now he'll try to, like, connect with her again. But Elaine should not be the person to bring Arlo back. I'm just saying that right now. Like, again, the fandom really seems to have, like, an idea of, like, that Elaine and Arlo are so cute together. Guys, they are not cute. Arlo does not care about Elaine. Arlo treats Elaine horribly. Like, that's not cute. Last but not least, Ventus and Melee, his lackeys. They are just his lackeys. They kind of know him, but, you know, they know, if they clearly know, like, they clearly are connected to Arlo a fair bit. They could also be the ones to bring him back. However, another idea that I had is that Valerie may not be okay with the brainwashing from Farah, and maybe she will be okay with it. Like, maybe she will be like, hey, like, thanks, Farah. Or maybe she will be kind of like, what the hell? Like, what did you do to my nephew? Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. I'm not okay with that. We do see Arlo with her in the poster. So what I'm actually most curious about is if this is a chapter that we're going to see in the future, like kind of him and Valerie having a heart-to-heart or something of some kind, or is it an altered memory? So, another thing that I think is very likely for Arlo is that he may be taken away from anti-corruption, because obviously Farah has probably kind of figured out why he wanted to go into anti-corruption. So he may be put under Valerie specifically, or Farah, since it kind of seems like Farah might be the one to, like, keep him in check right now, if not Valerie. So yeah, Cassandra is obviously going to notice that there's something wrong with Arlo. Now, this did get me thinking, is it possible that Cassandra dies because she may pry too much into everything? She's part of anti-corruption. She was close with Arlo. She might be like, Arlo, like, don't you remember, like, what we were looking into? Like, your aunt killed Rey, blah, blah, blah. And, like, obviously the Bureau's going to keep they're going to keep tabs on Arlo this season. So I think it may be likely that Valerie will probably, and it might be Valerie to do it, actually. And that might be hard for Valerie, because Cassandra is also kind of under Valerie as well. Like, Valerie was, like, gave her, like, the tips and the leads and everything for what Cassandra was looking into to take out Vaughn. So Cassandra may be a target, because they may be like, oh crap, she knows, like, we have to get rid of her. So will she be killed by Valerie or Farah, or will she be killed by Arlo? Because again, I think it's very likely that if he's going to be under Farah or Valerie, he's pretty strong too. He's stronger than Byron. He's stronger than the weakest god tier of the series. I think it's very likely that Arlo may finish what Valerie started. Arlo may be the one to kill Rey's mentor, and that would definitely be devastating for him. So, yeah. Now, next up, I want to preface this with I want Arlo to get his memories back and join everyone again. I do want that. I've been very critical of Arlo's character in the past, but I have also said who Arlo is now, the character development that we have gone for Arlo now is very, very good. Arlo is a very solid character now. And I want Arlo to be with the people who truly care about him and respect him again. I want that. But the more and more I do think on it, the more the reality that Arlo may be killed or become too far gone becomes a bigger thought for me. Now, he may and most likely will become Aslo again, especially at the start of season 3. I think he will start to kind of be like how he was at the start of the series, the cold, calculating, conniving, angry, and bitter and resentful person that he was, now that he is under the Bureau. And obviously they do not foster healthy adults with healthy lifestyles, or with healthy, mentalities. That's not what the Bureau is. The Bureau is all about enforcing the status quo. It's not about fostering people who will care about others and do what's right by the people. And I think it's very likely that Arlo obviously becomes an Ember agent. He starts killing people. He starts killing individuals. I do think that everyone versus Ember Agent Ash is a very real possibility, or Remy versus Ash being a very real possibility. And again, the idea that Arlo becomes a villain again may affect how much the others want to save him. And so again, I want Arlo to be reunited with everyone. I want Arlo back. But I think it's likely that if he is too far gone, if they can't figure out how to get him back from under Farah's hypnosis, I think it's very likely that Arlo dies thinking everyone hates him, and they'll never know about his sacrifices to save them. One thing I think could happen is, what I mean by that is, Arlo, obviously they know that Arlo and Blake sacrificed themselves so that Remy, Blake, and John, or Remy, Isen, and John could escape. But maybe Arlo does learn the truth, and he does think they hate me now, that's fine. But I'm strong enough mentally now, I can sacrifice myself for them. And if they hate me for the rest of their life, that's fine. But I care about them. So, I think that's possible. Or, what else is possible? They managed to get Arlo back. They managed to convince Arlo, hey, this is what's happening, dude. This is what's happening. Come with us. We can figure out how to get your memories back. But we're your friends, Arlo. And Arlo may be... obviously, Arlo will definitely be skeptical. Guys, what are you talking about? That's my aunt. I love her so much. She raised me. And there's kind of no, she killed Rey. She killed your mentor, dude. He's like, okay, well, you got the evidence. I guess we'll figure out how to get my memories back later. Now, granted, Arlo could also definitely be a key asset in learning how to take out the Bureau, take out Ember, if they do manage to get him back. So maybe, I don't want Arlo to die, but I think it's a very real possibility that Arlo does die. Now, another person that I was thinking about is Valerie. Maybe Valerie will realize that what she's done to her nephew is wrong. Valerie clearly cares about Arlo. Valerie does love her nephew. Now, don't get me wrong. This bitch evil. She is sick to the core. But she clearly does have a soft spot. When Arlo was helping Sera and talking about everything and all that, Valerie was clearly what are you doing? Don't do that. She was angry with Arlo, and she said she would do it. She said she would throw him in jail. But at the end of the day, she didn't. She did not throw him in jail. And even Farah didn't throw Arlo in jail. A lot of strings are being pulled for Arlo. And I think part of that is because Valerie cares. I think part of it is Valerie herself doing these things for Arlo, trying every single possibility that she can to protect and keep Arlo alive, keep him in the Bureau, keep him in good standing. So maybe she will like kind of like not learn to be a good person, but maybe she will kind of come to realize what I'm doing to Arlo isn't okay. Maybe I am the villain here. Now, again, I'm going to preface this. Valerie is evil. Valerie is not a good person. Valerie is not a decent person. Valerie is okay with enforcing the status quo that belittles and treats the lower class like complete dog doo-doo. But she is... what was I going to say? But we have to give it to her that, like many others in this country, in this story, in this world, she's grown up in an environment that clearly looks down on protecting the weak and enforcing the status quo. Again, does not absolve Valerie of all the things that she did, but it's very easy to understand why she is like this. So maybe Valerie does make a sacrifice play to protect Arlo, to save Arlo. Maybe I think Valerie's dead. Valerie is going to die. How she dies and who kills her, I think will definitely be like, who knows? But I do think a reality where Valerie is like, what I've done to Arlo is not okay, and dang, I'm a bad aunt. But who knows? So that's kind of the Arlo predictions that I have. Now with Isen, gonna be honest, I couldn't think of a lot of predictions for Isen. I know that there's a ton that I had, but for the life of me, when I was making this list, I could not remember them. So here's what I do have for Isen, the very few things. We'll touch on him briefly. Isen's getting a level up. Isen is absolutely going to become high tier. I think he should have been at the end of season 2, but that's okay. Like I said in the key art discussion, Isen is definitely on the front lines now. Isen is fighting now. Like, he is fighting. He doesn't have a choice now. He's not going to be backline defense. Backline, like, getting intel and everything. He's not guy in the chair anymore. Isen is definitely going to get a level up. We are definitely going to get the high tier trio in effect. Like I said, I think it's possible that he equals Blake in power, or possibly even surpasses Blake in power. The story has always kind of told us that Blake and Isen have always been kind of equal, kind of having a back and forth of who wins, who loses. So maybe for the first time in the series, we'll see Isen being ahead of Blake in level. Clearly not surpassing him that much, but I do think that's a possibility. Now, Blake's passive. What I think Blake's passive or Isen's passive is going to be one of two things: sensing heartbeats or lie detection. Maybe he can look at a person, sense what their heartbeat is like, kind of stuff like that. Again, he's the hunter. Isen has one of the simplest and the coolest abilities. Isen's ability is pretty freaking sweet, if we're being real. So I think giving him a really, really cool and really useful passive with how simple his ability actually is. Isen's ability is simple and complex, because there's a lot of keys to it, but he's not shooting crazy beams. He doesn't got the aura. He doesn't got the barriers. He doesn't have lightning. He's not time manipulation. Isen definitely has the simplest ability with the most assets to it. So I think giving him a really cool and a really useful passive would be pretty good for Isen. So there's that. And maybe we'll meet Isen's parents, or at least learn a bit about them. He's the only main character whose parents we really have no info on whatsoever. Obviously, John, we know his parents. Serafina, we know her mom. We've heard about their dad. Remy, we've met their mom. Blake, we've kind of learned a bit about her. She has spoken in the series. Arlo, We know that he has parents. Isen, we know next to nothing of. We know nothing of his parents. So I think it's I think it would be very likely and very cool to kind of meet Isen's parents. Like, where do they come from? Are they like him? Are Isen's parents kind of like, are Isen's parents like the extreme ends of like both of them? Like his dad his dad is like a really cocky, smarmy kind of greaseball, and his mom is kind of like this like very shy, very nervous like little thing, or maybe the opposite is true for both of them. Like, who are Isen's parents? I would love to see like how did they create this guy who's so cocky and like so like smug at a lot of times, yet also has the ability to be like, ah! That I want to see that. I want to see that. Okay, so Blake. Let's talk about Blake. Now, like I said at the beginning, in the art, Blake is still being interrogated. Again, very likely that like we're not gonna have like a big major time skip in this season. But I think because Blake isn't a late bloomer, because Blake isn't troubled like John, Terrence, Keen, stuff like he's not like the rest of the late bloomers. I think that might give him a little bit of an edge to being resistant to the interrogation, because Blake doesn't have a lot of bad memories that we know of. Like Blake isn't an awful person like John, like Keen supposedly was, like Terrence. Like Blake doesn't have a lot of trauma that we've seen. So I think that might kind of give him an edge to kind of being like, nope, I'm not letting you in there, blah, blah. We also know that Blake, he knows how to fight back, or he will fight back as hard as he can. Maybe that's why the interrogations are taking such a toll on him. Maybe that's why Keen is roughing him up so much. He's trying to weaken Blake's will. So, one thing I did think of. We know that Blake has a mom. And we know that Uru has also shown him and John to be two sides of the same coin. She said that herself. So a thought that I had, what if Blake's home life is the reverse of John's? What if Blake has bad parents? The first thing we know, what we really know about Blake's mom, is that she yells a lot. She yelled in the bonus comic, which again, that was kind of like a fun little gag. And she also yelled at Blake for talking on the phone to Isen. Granted, he was grounded, but that's kind of what we have to go off of Blake's parents. Him, like his mom is aggressive, like him. So what if Blake kind of has like a bad mom, and his dad's not in the picture? What, again, Blake being the reverse of John's home life. That's just kind of a thought I had. I hope it's not the case. I hope Blake has parents who love him and like are respectful of him. But what if they're not? What if they aren't? Now, again, I said Blake doesn't have as much trauma as the others that we've seen kind of go through the interrogation. But what if Keon is having Blake relive the times that John was terrible to him? Like all the bad things we have seen happen to Blake. Kind of without the Ember stuff. Maybe like, sending John to the hospital, beating him up over and over, like terrorizing the safe house. What if Keon finds the dream that Blake had of John and puts that on repeat for him? What if he like breaks Blake with that? So, and he grows to resent John again. Now, I definitely do think also like Keon is going to see the things like that the Bureau wouldn't want him to see. That the Bureau is behind Ember. Again, I don't think Keon is down with that. Keon is a dick. Keon is an asshole. We can't necessarily call him a villain yet. We cannot. He has, I've said this a million times. Keon has said, I don't know anything about the Ember investigation. That's not my department. We have no choice but to take him at his word. Because yes, again, Keon is a dick. We can't call him a villain yet. We cannot call him a villain yet. So, yeah. I definitely think that Keon will kind of see what Blake knows and he will be like, oh fuck. And maybe Keon will die. Maybe Valerie will be like, so did you get anything from him? And Keon's just kind of like, I'm scared of you, Valerie. And Valerie will be like, damn, sorry, Keon. We're not, I guess our dinner date's gonna have to be canceled. Boom, Flame Claw. Boom, crush him with the barrier diamond. Yeah. So again, one thing I want to happen is we're gonna see some prison buddy shit with Rein and Blake. At the end of season 2, Uru teased Rein seeing Blake being like carried off and like in the prison and everything. We're gonna see some buddy prisoner shit with Rein and Blake. Like Uru would not show us Rein for no reason. Like we're gonna see that again. I do think Rein might die. I really do not want Rein dead. Rein is so cool. I want Rein to join the main party. Rein is not going to become main cast. Kuyo is not main cast. Cassandra is not main cast. They're not main cast. Main cast is John, Sera, Arlo, Remy, Blake, Isen. That's main cast. I want them to become main party. Part of the team. Part of the crew. You know? Stuff like that. That's what I want. Rein might die before she can be saved by Cassandra, though. I don't want her to. I want her to be friends with everyone. I want her to know that Cassandra was sincere in wanting to help and save her, but she couldn't just because she lacked the power. But who knows? But Rein and Blake prison shit, I want to see that. Uru would not show us Rein without setting something up. Now, one thing I think would also be really cool, one thing I'm also going to predict, Blake kind of gets like a society of prisoners together to fight back. Blake's charismatic. Blake, he can get people behind him and everything. But I definitely think like some people are definitely bad. But I think there are definitely like a lot more members of society that were screwed over, like Rein and himself. Like Boiling Rock. Y'all remember Boiling Rock from Avatar: Last Airbender? What if we get that with Blake and Rein? That'd be so cool. Absolutely so cool. So cool. So there is that, my predictions with Blake. Remy. Again, going back to the key art discussion, I think Remy is going to be more angry than normal. I think Remy will kind of be more willing to do bad for the greater good. Like the Bureau has screwed her over so many times in just this last year of her life. So I think that Remy is kind of going back to what I said in my key art discussion. I think Remy is definitely going to be more like, no, any means necessary, whatever. Like, but I hope she doesn't lose herself. But I think it's possible. Because stress, especially what she's going through now, can definitely lead a person to do awful things. Now, we may also kind of see her go through what John did kind of at the end of season 2, running herself to ruin, like doing so much and just becoming so desperate that she's willing to do anything, and she may kind of overdo it and like damage herself, or like, run herself thin to where everyone has to be like, Remy, we get it, we're in the same boat, you're not alone. Maybe Remy needs to hear that as well. And the reason I also leads me to believe that is because Remy kind of does that to begin with her outbursts, kind of when it comes to Ember. Now, I definitely think we're going to be seeing Mama Lightning again, maybe even Papa Lightning. That is oh my gosh, what if the Bureau kills Remy's parents? Because that's 2 children who have become vigilantes. I could definitely see the Bureau being like, we'll place the blame on the parents and we'll make an example out of them. Again, I was wrong about this with Farah being Remy's mom. I'm not letting it go. Farah is the aunt that Remy never met. So, I'm not letting that go. Farah and Remy are related. Mama Lightning said, don't let people pressure you. Don't let others pressure you. So, Farah is related to Remy. I'm saying it. I'm sticking with it. I'm definitely wrong, but I'm sticking with it. Now, Remy will become God tier. So the high tier trio isn't really going to be the high tier trio isn't going to be a thing anymore. Like Remy, I think Remy should have been God tier at the end of season 2, but it's fine. It's whatever. Okay, wait. So the God tier trio and the high tier trio isn't a thing anymore. But we could have the octo duo, the 6 duo, the 6.0 duo, and we could have the 5.0 duo. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. John and Sera, Arlo, Remy, Blake and Isen in terms of levels. That'd be pretty cool, actually. I wouldn't be mad at that. Now, this is crazy. The next time Emmy runs into Ember, most likely Byron, on site, she will either kill or almost kill them herself. Remy is done playing around. Again, the Bureau has screwed her over in her life. Not as much as John, but like Remy is at her breaking point, I think. And so I definitely think like Remy is going to do something very, very drastic. I definitely think we're going to get some training with, like I said, I definitely think we're going to get some training with her and Isen from Kuyo. I definitely think Kuyo is going to be like, hey, this is kind of what helped Rake, like, level up his ability, stuff like that. This is kind of the things he was working on. Let's try and get you there as well. So yeah. Now, I said before, I think Arlo versus everyone is definitely possible. I think Remy versus Arlo is definitely happening, though. I definitely think, because we had Ray versus Valerie. Arlo is under control of the Bureau right now. Again, Ember Agent Ash is going to happen, people. So I definitely think that Remy versus Arlo is very likely. Maybe that fight itself, Arlo almost killing Remy, is kind of what turns everyone to like, we can't save Arlo anymore. It's unfortunate, but we cannot save him. So that's definitely going to happen. Now, obviously, Remy also has her little Justice League as well that she wanted to set up. I definitely think it's happening. Maybe Remy might even start a safe house out in the world with for like superheroes. If that's happened, I definitely think there's going to be like a rat. Oh, wait. What if her group is called the Safe House or something like that? I definitely think it's going to be a rat. What if Lumens or Pyre is the rat? What if they like go in and are like, hey, okay. If Pyre is the woman who comforted Remy, and Pyre is going to be the rat for Justice League Safe House, Remy will notice that lady immediately like, no, you work for the Bureau. Fuck yourself. Or could be Lumen. We have no idea what Lumen looks like right now, so there's that. Now, I think that a society, like an actual safe house out in the wild, like an actual safe house for society, I definitely think that will fail due to how strength in numbers doesn't really work in UnOrdinary from what we've seen with John. And also, freaking Farah one-tapping the gang. Not like Arlo and them, like Remy, Kuyo, Blake, Isen. But yeah. So I definitely think like I think I want the Justice League to work based on like evidence we have on how strength in numbers doesn't work in the story. I don't think it's likely that it will. But I was wrong about the safe house working in season 2. I was a hater of the safe house. I definitely thought the safe house wouldn't work even without John's interference, but I was wrong. So that's kind of what I have for Remy. Now, Sera, again, say it with me now. Based on the key art, Sera will definitely be a lot more calm and collected of it, the more calm and collected of everyone this season. I think a lot of stuff with Spectre and Neil will happen with her. I don't really have like a major idea what's going to happen. Like I definitely think, they're obviously working on how to like get rid of Orin or like help him lose his power. But yeah, I definitely think we're going to be seeing their parents again, and it may be very, very ugly. Two kids who ran away or who like have like basically gone missing. Sera also told Narissa, like, if you have two kids who run away, like what would people say? Like what would people do? I think we're definitely going to be meeting her dad, since he's a next gen like partner or like board member or like a major investor for the company and everything. We have every reason to believe that Serafina's parents suck. But like maybe their dad's like kind of okay. Maybe their dad's biggest sin is that he's not around to stop Narissa from being abusive. Again, Layla does not have the best interpretation of her parents, and neither does Sera. Her dad was also like standing above her like very menacingly when she was a child. So I don't think it's I don't think it's very unlikely that her dad is a good guy. Her dad could be just as bad, if not worse, than Narissa. But just a thought. Now, one thing I've said since it all, at some point, Sera's definitely fighting a spatial manipulation person. She's going to fight someone with spatial manipulation. Now, I've always said, I think that would be so cool for Serafina's final fight. So I'm putting this in there. Time versus space is happening at some point. So, yeah. Now, kind of touching on John a little bit with this one. I think Sera will probably be more open to learning about John's family than John is. I think Cameron is going to want to teach John like a few things about them, kind of like their family history, like why they're able to like kind of like go against the Bureau and be like, screw you, leave us alone. I think Cameron is going to want to teach John some of their family history. Obviously, from what Jane has said and kind of from Cameron's own demeanor, their family is, I think, definitely kind of like, we're above everyone. We're even above the Bureau. Like we can do what we want because we are the true hierarchy of society. We are the best of the best. So I think Sera will kind of be more like, kind of like listening to Cameron, like, hey, tell me more about John's family. Like, what are you guys like? Because my family sucks. Does your guys' family also suck? John obviously is thankful to Cameron, but he's definitely he's still himself. He's still John. So I think Sera will kind of be like, John, learn about your family. My family sucks. Learn about yours. Connect with yours. Your uncle saved you. Like, give him a chance. Learn about your history. So, yeah. Now, Sera kind of has the history of like coming up like with the plans that actually kind of work. Obviously, there have been a lot of factors out of her control that didn't help as well. Orin kind of screwing over them getting back their abilities. But I do think it's very possible that Sera will be the one to come up with the plans to get Blyke and Arlo out. I think that's kind of going to be Sera's like point of view. Maybe they will even use kind of like the info kind of. Maybe they'll be able to get info from Neil, since Orin obviously has a history of breaking into the prison that Blyke's at. Now, quick one. I definitely think Sera is going to be the one to take Orin down. Maybe Sera takes Orin down, becomes the next Spectre board member, or maybe Layla does. That'd be pretty cool. But I think Sera is going to be the one to take out Orin. I definitely think that Orin is stronger than Sera. I definitely think that Orin, it's also possible that like Spectre people themselves are not that strong. But I would be so disappointed if what is her name? I think her name's Amanda. If like Amanda, Neil, and Orin aren't high rankers, I'd actually be pretty disappointed in that. But like, also, the things that Orin has been able to do, there is no way that he's not like a crazy powerful god tier. Orin has to be one of the strongest people in the series. Orin has to be stronger than Sera. I'm saying that. But I definitely think that Orin will be defeated by Sera. But this also got me thinking, what if Sera does have a commandment on her? Because she's been under him. She's been getting treated at his facility. So I definitely think it's possible that Sera has some type of commandment on her that Orin placed on her at some point. I do think if you're going to say this, I totally understand where you're coming from. If there was a commandment placed on Sera, we would have seen it by now. It would have been teased by now. I definitely think that's possible. I definitely see where you're coming from. But it's just a thought I had, and the more I think about it, the more likely it is. Like, Sera was under Orin and working for him for a while. So I definitely think at some point when we weren't around, which is fine. If there was one thing that Uru is going to say, hey, this happened that you didn't see. That would be a crazy twist. Depending on how she do it, that would be a crazy good twist. Or Orin could be like, the first time that we gave you your ability back, I was watching you. I put this over you because I knew at some point you would get so snarky that you would think you can hit me. So I made sure to put this on you well in advance. Possible. Maybe because of that we'll see John versus Sera part 2. I hope not. But it could be. Could be. Now, again, I think we will definitely see her and John training together. John's going to get time manipulation at some point. But I think, like, kind of some training scenes with, like, her and John and Cameron would be really cool. Now, I'm going to touch on this with Sera because she's kind of, like, the reason that they're in the story now. I think that in order to take down the Bureau, we need to take out Spectre first. We need to get rid of Spectre before we take out the Bureau. Or at least we need to get Spectre back on the right path before we can change the Bureau. So obviously, Sera taking out Orin, taking his place, or Layla takes his place. Spectre gets back on track. Maybe Amanda is also a big problem. Maybe Amanda also needs to be taken out. We don't know anything about her. We haven't seen her yet. So, yeah. Yeah. Or, since she hasn't been teased, the more I think about it, the more likely I think it is Orin kills Amanda, gets control of her thing, and then they're like, okay, well, we just need to destroy Spectre, like, altogether. So, yeah. So, there's that with Sera. Another thing about Orin, maybe Orin is working with the Bureau, and, like, maybe Orin will join the Bureau. Maybe. Who knows? So, now, let's talk about John. I definitely think, now, like I said, I don't think John is going to be as important as everyone else as, like, Remy and Isen and Sera at the start of Season 3, just based on his positioning in the art itself. He kind of seems to be a background player. I don't think we're going to get a lot of John, definitely, like, not at the start of Season 3. I think Season 3 Part 1 will be kind of, like, more focused on the others. Obviously, we're still going to get a lot of John stuff, too, though. He's still the main character of the series. But I definitely think that we'll get a lot of moments with him and Cameron. I think we'll definitely learn more about Jane's past through Cameron. We know that Jane is crazy strong, and she was kind of, like, out there boxing and stuff. So I definitely think we're going to get some of that. John is going to be reunited with Jane, and William will get a proper funeral. So I do think John is going to match Sera's level at some point. That kind of seems to be something that was kind of, like, the same with them, like, a lot of times, like, when they were in their respective grades before John, like, stopped, like, fighting and got expelled. So I think it's possible that Cameron dies and leaves his fortune to John. And I think John will make, like, a public announcement, kind of like announcing to the world, like, to society, what the Bureau has done to him and his family. So, yeah. That's kind of, like, the things that I thought mostly for John. Like I said, I would love to see John get Blade Master at some point. I would love to see Kuyo train John. But I don't necessarily think that's necessary when we have Cameron. Or, you know, we could open up with like Cameron being killed and like them needing to find Remy and Isen, and like everyone is on the run with Kuyo. Maybe who knows? Who knows? So also one thing I think about, so Marisol, Cameron's maid, she kind of doesn't. She kind of gives the vibe that like she does listen to Cameron, but she doesn't really take his shit. I think Marisol will kind of be like, kind of like a motherly figure, kind of like an aunt figure to John. I think Marisol will kind of be like, hey, John, eat your lunch, like eat your breakfast. I don't know why, but something tells me that we will see like some moments with Marisol and John, just kind of her being like, John, like go to bed, get a good night's rest, blah blah blah. I don't know why. It just kind of seems like, I don't know. It's something that I could see being possible. Now, one thing that I think will happen with everyone, like I know I said I don't think we're going back to Wellston that much, but one thing I could see happening, if we do get everyone back together, they go to Wellston and they're like, no, we're taking our school back. Especially since like Keen and Vaughn are still out there. I think they may join forces with them and be like, no, we're taking our school back. I think we're going to get the John versus Sylvia rematch. He takes her ability, amplifies it, turn the tables on her. Be like, you got the best of me last time, but I'm stronger now. I'm more mentally stable now. I'm defeating you, Sylvia. Could be good. Could be good. So, that is that for my predictions for kind of the main cast. A few things I want to touch on real quick. These characters are not done. These characters have not left the series. We are going to see these characters at some point. Now, Evie and Dylan especially, maybe Roland, because he was kind of like part of their little crew. Evie and Dylan, maybe Roland, are not done. Evie is obviously like scared because she doesn't get to go to Wellston anymore, but we're gonna see her and Dylan again. They're not gone. Like we're gonna get a storyline with them at the very least. Uru would not waste time showing us adorable little Queen Evie and little bro Dylan. Like she would not, like we're gonna see them again. Adrian and Claire. We still also need to know Dylan and Roland's abilities too. Now, okay. Adrian and Claire, not done with the series. Adrian especially. Claire, the last time we saw Claire, she had the vision of John seeing Cameron. We saw that was definitely purely for us, so that we would get something happening. So I could see like that being Claire's last scene because we got her last vision. I hope it's not though. Like I definitely want Claire in, but Adrian especially. Adrian and John are going to be reunited at some point. Like Adrian is John's bro. He's his day one. Like Adrian is not done. Like we're going to see Adrian again. Now, these two, a lot less, but I'd still really like it. Wyatt and Sherry. Wyatt and Sherry, I want to see them again. I don't think they're done. Like I think we're going to see them at least a little bit in season 3. Zeke. No one would ever think that Zeke is done with. Zeke is like, he's part of the Bureau. Maybe like Zeke will try to be like buddy with Arlo now that he's like under hypnosis. Now that Valerie is like, hey, play nice with Zeke. Like be chill, be cool. So I definitely think we're gonna see some like Zeke being like, Arlo, like my best friend, like, hey, let's go kill some superheroes, bro. Like, come on. I think Zeke's also going to get his hands on an enhancer. Yeah, like, you know, Zeke is a scumbag. He's going to continue to do scumbag things. Zeke will probably become like a big villain in season 3. Or Zeke could get so big for his bridges and that like when push comes to shove and like everyone has to like everyone's gonna encounter Zeke again. He's gonna be like, I have the whole bureau at my disposal, like I'm one of the elites of society, and everyone's just gonna be like, Zeke, you're trash, bro. Slice his head off. Yeah. So boom. Cecile, we're not done with Cecile. She is queen again. Cecile is queen of Wellstone again. We're gonna get some kind of storyline with her. Absolutely. Scarlet, the woman who helped Cameron find William's body, she's not gone. Uru would not put that much work into a character design and not use them for the future. Everyone thought Rein everyone thought Rein and the Agwin Royals were gone. Rein came back. Uru would not put that much sauce into a character and just one use them. Absolutely not. We're gonna see her again. The Spectre teammates. These were the people that were kind of like in the van with Sera on her mission. I think we're going to see them again. Obviously, we're going to see some fights we're going to see are definitely like John versus Liam, Sera versus Candace again. Like, we're definitely going to see that. John has been wanting to go at Liam's throat for the longest time, and that's definitely going to happen. So yeah, there's that. Holden, Uru, I swear to God, you better show us Holden's ability. So yeah, that is it. Those are some of my predictions for season 3 of UnOrdinary. There's definitely a lot more that I am forgetting, but as the season goes on, and maybe even tonight when we go live, maybe I'll even drop a few more. But those are the majority of my predictions for season 3 of UnOrdinary. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I will see you all tonight for the return for the final season of UnOrdinary. How many parts do you guys think season 3 is going to be? Might be 3 parts. I know that Uru said it's the last season, but I really hope it's not. I know she has other projects she wants to work on, and I will definitely read whatever she works on next, but I don't know. I feel like there could still be more done with the world of UnOrdinary, but that will be all for this video. As always, see you, Space Cowboy.